is up, guys, and we are back with another video. So today this is something I really wanted to do. I wanted to see how good elemental mastery is on Ganyu. So I kind of wanted to see if I could run 4 Wanderer's Troupe and see what that looks like. So I went ahead and grinded out a Wanderer's Troupe set, so I'm going to switch to it right now. So here we have my Wanderer's Troupe set. I have around 2300 attack as well as 181% crit damage. So the thing with this set, it was so hard for me to get like a cryo damage goblet. So what I did, I just kept attack percentage. And then when I compared the two artifact sets, right? One being the Wanderer's Troupe set compared to 2-piece Blizzard and 2-piece Gladiator, I switched it up around. So just remember these numbers. This is what we're going to be using for the Wanderer's Troupe set. We're sitting at 134 elemental mastery. And on top of that, since we have the 4-piece, we're getting a 35% damage bonus with charge attacks. We're at 181% crit damage, as well as no cryo damage bonus. So now I'm going to switch to the set I'm going to be using with 2-piece Glad and 2-piece Cryo, and I'm going to show you what that is like. Okay, so here is the 2-piece Cryo and 2-piece Gladiator set. So the only things that should change are my cryo damage and my attack. So my attack went up by probably like 200 to 300 because of the Gladiator bonus. And also I have a 15% cryo damage bonus from the Cryo set. Other than that, my crit damage is almost the same. It's only like 8% or 10% higher. So you see, before it was like 184, now it's 193. So it's like 9%. But this is the closest I could get. So what I had to do was, instead of using a cryo damage cup, I'm just using the same attack percentage cup. That way I'm keeping it as consistent as possible. So the numbers we see in the test might be less than normal, what you see on Ganyu. That's because we don't have cryo damage. But we're not trying to see how hard we can hit. We're trying to see how close the numbers are between the two sets. Because basically what we're trying to see is if we had the exact same substats for everything, but we just had 2 different artifact sets, which one does better? So just imagine if we had like a cryo piece, we would be hitting a lot harder. But just for testing purposes, we want them to be as even as possible. So the 4 things we're going to be looking at, right, are going to be the charge attack, the bloom, as well as the E and the Q, right? And we're going to look at that from both just regular as well as with infused with pyro, because we get the elemental mastery melt. So first thing is we're going to be using our Wanderer's Troupe set, and let's see how that does. So let's look at the charge attack damage. So 19, almost 20k with the bloom. Let's see how much the initial arrow is. So 11k. So 5,380. And now let's go ahead and look at the Q. So 2,864. So now let's go ahead and look at the melt damage. So 20k with our initial arrow, and a 12k non-crit, that is pretty strong if I'm being honest. 35k with our crit. Dang, that is a lot. So 10k with our E. We're not going to be looking at our Q reaction damage because it's just not going to happen. But now let's go ahead and switch over to our 2-piece Glad and 2-piece Blizzard Strayer and see the difference in damage. Okay, so we've switched over, and again we have almost 2600 attack, no elemental mastery this time, and no charge attack damage bonus, but we have extra attack percentage as well as a 15% cryo damage bonus. So let's look at the regular charge attack first. So almost the same, 11k. I believe it was 11k with the regular, with Wanderer's Troupe as well. And 19k. So honestly, it looks the same with regular charge attacks. So 7k with the E. So 3,700 with a crit. So now let's go ahead and look at reaction damage. So 17k. So almost 30k with a crit. So I think with the Wanderer's Troupe we had like 35k. A lot less, but let's go ahead and look at the E damage. So 10k with a melt E. So I think that's all we needed to see. Let's go ahead and pull up our Excel sheet and just compare the numbers. Okay, so here are all the numbers that we just tested. And I'm actually really surprised because I did not see this coming. But Wanderer's Troupe actually destroys Glad plus Cryo. I honestly thought Glad plus Cryo was the best set because that's what I've been running. I never thought that just because I get some elemental mastery, I would be doing that much more damage. Not only that, 4-piece Wanderers gives you a 35% charge attack damage bonus. And as you guys can see, the E and Q damage for the Wanderer's Troupe is a lot less. And that's because the Wanderer's Troupe doesn't affect E and Q damage at all. The only thing it's affecting is your Elemental Mastery, which affects all your reaction damage, as well as your charge attacks. The crazy part is, so even though it looks like Glad plus Cryo is slightly ahead in regular charge attacks, it's actually not. Because keep in mind, guys, my Glad plus Cryo set had an additional, I think, 10% crit damage bonus over my Wanderer's Troupe just because of substats, and that was the closest I could get it. And even with that 10% crit damage on top, it's only edging out by like 200 or 300 damage. So I'm 100% sure if they were like the exact same crit damage, Wanderer's Troupe would be the same or more. That's how good that extra 35% charge attack bonus is, because it basically is equal to Glad plus Cryo. And then don't even get me started on reaction damage. It actually destroys Glad plus Cryo. Like in total, like both of these combined, it does almost 10,000 damage more than Glad plus Cryo, which is a lot. And keep in mind, guys, this is with an attack percentage goblet, not a cryo damage goblet. If we were using a goblet with cryo damage with Wanderer's Troupe, our numbers would be insane. Like we would be hitting like 60, 65k. I'm honestly going to switch over to the Wanderer's Troupe because I didn't expect this. I'm glad I tested it. And even the E reaction damage, like we're not getting that 35% charge attack bonus, but we're getting that Elemental Mastery. And just that 100 Elemental Mastery or 80 or whatever it is for Wanderer's Troupe, like look how close it makes the numbers, you know? So in my opinion, Wanderer's Troupe is the way to go in terms of damage output. But now we got to discuss the pros and cons for each set, right? Obviously, we've talked about the pros. The pros for Wanderer's Troupe are it pretty much beats Glad and Cryo in every category except base E damage and base tick damage, which shouldn't matter that much because these aren't your main sources of damage. It's your charge attack that's your main source of damage. So those are the pros going for Wanderer's Troupe. Now for the cons, the thing is you can't really grind out this set. The only way you can really do that is killing bosses, which is 40 resin, and you're not even like guaranteed it. And it's kind of harder to get than 2-piece Glad and 2-piece Cryo because you need 4-piece of Wanderer's Troupe. Like I've been like playing for such a long time and I still don't have like a good Wanderer's crit damage helmet. I didn't even get one. So that's why I had to use attack percentage goblet. So yeah, so that's one con with it. Another con with Wanderer's Troupe is it's really hard to, it's not really hard, but I'm saying, I think this is a con right now. I don't think there's a good support for Ganyu in terms of pyro, right? And what I mean by that is for Ganyu, she's really squishy and she gets interrupted with her charge attacks easily. So someone like Bennett, who's usually a really good pyro support for everyone, he doesn't really work well with Ganyu, and I've tested this. Yeah, his Q helps her damage a lot. Thing is, unless you're standing far away, Bennett likes to hit people in the face with his E and in the face with his Q, right? But with Ganyu, you want to be kind of further away. The only other unit that's pyro that really can be a pretty decent support is Xiangling. Because of her pyro NATO, she just tosses that and it's spinning around applying pyro. But there's not really a good unit that applies pyro consistently. You know what I mean? So unless and eventually they're going to release like a pyro unit that's like the equivalent of Xingqiu and Fischl that just continuously applies pyro. I think the closest one we have right now is Xiangling. And honestly, that comes down to your playstyle, but me personally, I like my Ganyu because she's so squishy to be like a little further back. Oh, and one other con that is a pro for Glad and Cryo is you can't really run the 2 Cryo units on your team. Because what the 2 Cryo units on your team does is it gives you a 15% crit rate bonus if they're affected by Cryo or are frozen. But since you're going for more of a reaction damage team, they're always going to be affected by Pyro instead of Cryo. So you don't need another Cryo character because they won't have Cryo on them, if that makes sense. Something that ties into that is since you're missing out on that 15% crit rate, you might have to get a little luckier on your crit rates rolls compared to Glad plus Cryo, where you can be a little more lenient because you get that 15% crit rate. But again, that's not that big of a deal because 15% is, yeah, it's a good amount, but it's not like unachievable by any means. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video, guys. I think tomorrow I'm going to be discussing, because a lot of people talk about power creep with Ganyu, and I'm going to be discussing that tomorrow, so keep a lookout for that. But that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and see you guys.